I never considered myself the jealous type. My wife, Lillian, was independent and always had a strong circle of friends. She had always gone on occasional girls' trips since before we got married, and I never thought much of it. But over the past year, something started to feel off. First, it was small things. She used to tell me all about her trips. Funny stories, little mishaps, the places they visited. But now, her stories were vague, generic. When I asked where they went, she'd say things like, "Oh, just the usual places." Or, "Nothing too exciting this time." The pictures she used to take and excitedly show me, they became fewer, and the ones she did show seemed staged. Almost as if she was proving something rather than sharing a memory. Then there were the trips themselves. They started becoming more frequent. Once every few months turned into almost every other month. The duration changed too. A simple weekend trip turned into a long weekend, then 4 to 5 days at a time. "The girls just needed a break," she'd say. "It's been a stressful time." But the biggest red flag came when I ran into her friend, Monica, at the grocery store. "Hey, how was the trip?" I asked casually. She looked confused. "Which trip?" "The one last weekend," I said. "Lillian said you all went up to Lakewood again." Monica's face shifted. It was only for a second, but I caught it, hesitation. She smiled quickly, nodding. "Oh yeah, it was nice. Just a quick getaway." Something about it felt forced. And that was when I decided I needed to look deeper. The next trip was already planned, 3 weeks away. This time, instead of just watching her leave and waiting for her return, I was going to follow her. But first, I needed a way to track her without her knowing. Lillian wasn't great with technology, so I used that to my advantage. I installed a GPS tracker on her car, a small, discreet device under the bumper. I also enabled location tracking on her phone, which was easy since we were linked on the same family plan. She never checked those settings, so I knew she wouldn't notice. The night before the trip, she packed as usual. Her suitcase was filled with beach dresses, sandals, and a brand new bikini. That was strange. It was November, and if she was really going to Lakewood, a cold mountain town, why would she need beachwear? The next morning, she kissed me goodbye, rolling her suitcase out the door, and I waited. 30 minutes later, I checked the tracker. She wasn't going north to Lakewood. She was heading south, toward the city. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel as I watched her little dot on the GPS move farther south. Lakewood was supposed to be 2 hours north, yet she was speeding toward the city, toward luxury hotels, bars, and places she never mentioned in her girls' trip stories. I gave her a head start, then pulled out of the driveway and followed at a safe distance. I didn't want to get too close, didn't want to spook her. After about an hour, she exited the highway and merged into the busy streets of downtown. The tracker led me to an upscale hotel, the Meridian Grand, a place known for its rooftop bar, expensive suites, and a clientele that preferred discretion. I parked across the street and watched from my car. A valet opened her door, and she stepped out in a short dress, looking far more glamorous than she ever did for a casual girls' trip. My stomach twisted. She looked happy, excited, like she was arriving for something special. She handed her keys to the valet and grabbed her suitcase, but she didn't walk toward the entrance alone. A man stepped out of the driver's seat. He was tall, well-dressed, and comfortable in her presence. Without hesitation, he put his arm around her waist, guiding her toward the revolving doors. She didn't flinch. She didn't push him away. Instead, she leaned into him. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was one thing to suspect, to have that gut feeling. But seeing it, that was different. That was real. My wife wasn't just lying about a trip. She was here with someone. I snapped a few pictures with my phone, my hands shaking. They disappeared inside, and I knew I had a choice. I could confront her now, make a scene, and demand answers. Or I could wait, gather more proof, and make sure I knew the full story before blowing everything up. I chose to wait. I booked a room in the same hotel, using cash to avoid any digital trail. As I checked in, I asked the receptionist a casual question. "Is it a busy weekend?" She smiled. "Oh yes, lots of couples this time of year. The romance packages are really popular." I forced a nod, my mind racing. My wife didn't just come here for a getaway. She came here for a romantic weekend with another man. I made my way to my room and pulled up the hotel's website. Room service, spa treatments, private dining. If she was here for a love affair, they wouldn't just stay locked in a room. They'd go out, enjoy the perks, and I was going to follow every step. I placed a call to room service. Hi, I'm supposed to be meeting someone here. Can you tell me if a reservation was made under Lillian Harper? There was a pause. Then the receptionist said, I'm sorry, but we can't disclose guest information. I expected that, but now I knew. She had booked a room here. I sat back on the bed, phone in hand. I could feel my heart pounding, but I forced myself to stay calm. This wasn't just a hunch anymore. It was happening. And by the end of the weekend, I was going to have everything I needed. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the stiff hotel mattress, staring at the ceiling, replaying what I had seen over and over again. My wife, Lillian, stepping out of that car. The way she leaned into that man. The way they walked into the hotel together like they had done it 100 times before. Morning came slowly. I forced myself up, splashed cold water on my face, and checked the GPS tracker. Her car was still parked outside. She hadn't left. I needed more. More proof, more details, something undeniable. If I confronted her now, she could spin it, lie her way out. I needed to see it all, to know just how deep this betrayal went. So I waited. Around 10 a.m., I made my way to the hotel's cafe, ordering a coffee and positioning myself near the lobby. The place was buzzing with guests checking out, business people on their laptops, couples laughing over breakfast. I scanned the room, looking for her. And then I saw them. Lillian and her mystery man emerged from the elevators, dressed casually but still looking like they belonged together. He was saying something to her, and she laughed. An easy, genuine laugh, one I hadn't heard in a long time. I tensed as they walked past me, completely oblivious to my presence. They strolled hand in hand toward the front desk. I shifted slightly, keeping my head low as I listened in. Reservation under Thomas Hale, the man said to the concierge. Thomas Hale. Now I had a name. The receptionist handed him a small envelope. Your spa appointment is confirmed for noon, she said. We've also reserved your rooftop dinner for 8 p.m. Lillian beamed. Perfect. I gripped my coffee cup tightly. A spa day. A romantic dinner. This wasn't just a fling. It was a full-blown affair, planned and rehearsed. They walked out of the hotel and I followed at a safe distance. They strolled through the city streets, completely comfortable in their secrecy. They grabbed breakfast at a small bistro, sitting across from each other, holding hands over the table. She looked happy. Not guilty, not nervous. Just happy. I took more photos. Every moment, every touch, every lingering glance. After breakfast, they walked to a boutique store. I watched as he picked out a silk dress, held it up against her, then nodded in approval. She giggled, kissed him lightly on the cheek, then disappeared into the dressing room. My chest tightened. She used to do that with me. I snapped another picture. At noon, they returned to the hotel spa. I couldn't follow them inside, but I didn't need to. The confirmation at the desk, the way she looked at him, the way he touched her. It was more than enough. By evening, I was exhausted, but I wasn't done. I needed to see that rooftop dinner. I needed to hear what they talked about when they thought no one was listening. So I made a call to the restaurant. Hi, I'd like to book a table for 2 tonight, I said, keeping my voice calm. Of course, the host replied. What time? I glanced at the clock. 8 p.m. Ah, I'm sorry. That's fully booked. I expected that. Any cancellations? I asked casually. Not at the moment, but you're welcome to check back. I hung up and took a deep breath. If I couldn't get a table, I'd have to find another way to get close. Because tonight, I was going to hear every word my wife said to this man. By the time evening rolled around, I had a plan. I might not have been able to get a table at the restaurant, but there were other ways to be in the right place at the right time. The Meridian Grand's rooftop restaurant was an open-air space, designed to overlook the glittering city skyline. Guests didn't just come for the food, They came for the view, the atmosphere, the exclusivity. That meant people were always taking pictures, walking around, enjoying the scenery. If I played it right, I could blend in without drawing suspicion. I dressed the part, business casual, as if I were a guest just stopping by for a drink after a long day. Then I made my way up to the rooftop lounge, a section just outside the restaurant that didn't require reservations. From there, I had a clear view of the dining area. At 8 p.m. sharp, they arrived. Lillian wore the silk dress Thomas had picked for her earlier. My stomach churned at the sight of it. She had done this before. Tried on dresses, spun around for me, asked me what I thought. And now she was doing it for someone else. They were seated near the edge, close enough that I could hear bits and pieces of their conversation over the sound of clinking glasses and soft music. "I still can't believe we're actually doing this," she said, laughing softly. Thomas reached across the table, taking her hand. "You deserve this," he said. "No more sneaking around. No more hiding. Just us." I froze. No more hiding? What did that mean? Lillian sighed, swirling the wine in her glass. I don't want to hurt him," she said. "Hurt me?" Thomas scoffed. "Come on, Lil. Do you really think he doesn't suspect anything? He's not stupid." I clenched my fists. Lillian shook her head. "He's a good man. He doesn't deserve—" She stopped herself, took a breath. "I just need to find the right way to tell him." "Tell me what?" Thomas leaned in. "You're not happy, Lil. You haven't been for a long time. You've already made your decision. You just have to follow through." Lillian bit her lip, hesitated, then finally nodded. "You're right. After this weekend, I'll talk to him." The room felt like it was closing in on me. She wasn't just having an affair. She was planning to leave me, and she was telling him before she told me. I wanted to walk over there, to make a scene, to call her out in front of everyone. But something stopped me. No, not yet. I had followed her this far. I needed to see this through to the end. So I stayed, watching them laugh, watching them toast to new beginnings, watching my wife slip further and further away from me. And as I sat there, barely holding myself together, I made a decision of my own. She wanted to surprise me with a breakup? She had no idea what I had in store for her. I barely slept that night. Lillian had made up her mind. She was going to leave me, and she wasn't even going to tell me until after this romantic getaway with her lover. I had spent the last few days following her, collecting proof, watching her lie with ease. But now I needed more than just evidence. I needed a plan. If she wanted to blindside me, I was going to make sure she never saw my next move coming. The next morning, I checked the GPS tracker. Her car was still at the hotel, meaning they hadn't left yet. I had one more day before they checked out. One more day to gather what I needed. I started with Thomas Hale. I had a name now, which meant I could dig. And what I found made my blood run cold. Thomas wasn't just some fling. He was a divorce attorney. A quick search revealed he worked at a high-end law firm that specialized in wealth protection during divorce settlements. His clients? Mostly women, wives who wanted to leave their husbands with as much financial gain as possible. Suddenly, everything clicked. This wasn't just an affair. This was a setup. Lillian wasn't just planning to leave me. She had been preparing for it, probably for months. Meeting Thomas wasn't random, he was a professional. She had chosen him for a reason. I thought about our finances. We had a shared bank account, but Lillian had always kept a separate one for emergencies. Now I realized it was for something else entirely. I needed to act fast. The first thing I did was call my own lawyer, someone I trusted. I explained everything from the affair to the tracking to what I had just found out. He sighed. "She's playing dirty," he said, "but you're ahead of her. Here's what we're going to do." Following his advice, I quietly moved half of our shared savings into an account under my name. It was legally mine, but if she planned to drain the account when she got back, she was in for a rude awakening. Next, I changed all my online banking passwords and froze any joint credit cards. If she wanted to leave, she could, but not on my dime. Then, I started collecting everything, screenshots of her texts, thanks to our shared cloud account, bank statements, even old messages where she swore she loved me. If she tried to paint me as the bad guy in court, I was going to have an airtight defense. By the time I finished, it was afternoon. I checked the GPS. Lillian and Thomas were out again. This time, they were at a real estate office. My hands tightened around my phone. They weren't just planning a future together. They were looking for a home. That was my breaking point. I had planned to wait until she got home, to calmly let her know that I knew everything. But now I wanted her to feel the same shock, the same humiliation that she had just handed me. So I made one final move. I sent her a message. I didn't get a reply. Not right away. For hours, my message sat undelivered. I imagined Lillian seeing it pop up on her screen, her mind racing, trying to figure out what I meant. She wasn't stupid, she'd suspect something. The uncertainty would eat at her. And that was exactly what I wanted. By the evening, her GPS signal returned to the hotel. They were back, probably getting ready for another romantic night, but I had already ruined it. At 9:23 p.m., my phone finally buzzed. Lillian, hey, everything okay? What do you mean you won't be home? I smirked. Now she was nervous. I let the message sit for a while, just like she had made me sit in the dark about her affair. Then, at 10 p.m., I finally responded. Me, just need some space. We'll talk when you're back. I imagined her panic. The way she'd glance at Thomas, wondering if something was off, wondering if I knew. And then, I turned off my phone, let her stew in it. The next morning, I checked the GPS. Lillian's car was moving. They were leaving the hotel. I checked the traffic cams in the area, something I had learned to do when I started suspecting her trips. Sure enough, I caught a glimpse of her car pulling onto the highway. She was coming home. I packed a bag and left before she arrived. I didn't want to see her just yet. This was all about control, and for once I was taking it back. I spent the afternoon at a friend's place, someone who had been through a nasty divorce and knew exactly what I was dealing with. Over beers, he gave me a simple piece of advice. Make her think she's still in control. Let her lie. Let her dig her own grave. So I did exactly that. By the time I got home that night, Lillian was waiting for me. She was sitting on the couch, her suitcase still near the door. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept. But when she saw me, she forced a smile. The same fake smile I had seen her give Thomas the night before. Hey babe, she said softly. You scared me with that text. Everything okay? I stared at her. The woman who had just spent the weekend in another man's bed was sitting in our home, pretending nothing had happened. I forced myself to play along. Yeah, I said. Just been stressed lately. She stood up, walked toward me, and reached for my hand. You know you can talk to me, she said. I don't want you to feel like you have to deal with things alone. I almost laughed. Oh, the irony. But instead, I just nodded. Yeah, I said. Maybe we should talk soon. She squeezed my hand. We will. And just like that, she thought she had one. She thought she had fooled me. But what she didn't know was that while she had been sneaking around behind my back, I had been 10 steps ahead. She wanted to break me. She had no idea what was coming next. Lillian thought she was in control. She thought she still had time. For the next few days, she acted as if nothing had happened. She kissed me in the mornings, made small talk over dinner, and even asked if I wanted to plan a weekend trip together. It was almost impressive, the way she could lie so smoothly. But I wasn't playing her game anymore. I was setting the stage for my own ending. I had spent the past few days finalizing everything with my lawyer. The money transfers were done, my assets were locked down, and I had gathered enough proof of her affair to crush her in court. But that wasn't enough. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she had done. So I planned the perfect moment. That Friday, I told Lillian we should have a date night. She lit up, probably thinking she had reeled me back in. She put on a dress, did her hair, and acted like the perfect wife. We went to dinner at her favorite restaurant, the same one we used to go to when we were happy. She smiled across the table, completely unaware of what was about to happen. Over wine, she reached for my hand. I'm really glad we're doing this, she said. I feel like we've been a little distant lately. I just nodded. Let her talk. Let her dig deeper into her own web of lies. Then, As the waiter brought our dessert, I casually pulled out my phone and placed it on the table. The screen was already open to a photo, one I had taken from the hotel. Lillian's face drained of color. It was a picture of her and Thomas in the restaurant, holding hands. She stared at it, frozen. For the first time, she had no script, no lie prepared. I leaned back. "Go ahead," I said. "Tell me another story." Her mouth opened, then closed. She swallowed hard, her hands shaking. I don't know what this is." I let out a short laugh. "Don't insult me, Lillian. I know everything." Silence. She looked around, as if hoping someone would save her. But there was no escape. I scrolled through my phone, showing her more. Photos of them at breakfast, walking through the city, checking into the hotel. Her breathing turned shallow. "It's not." "Don't," I interrupted. "Don't you dare sit here and lie to my face again." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I was going to tell you." "When?" I leaned in. "Before or after you drained our account? Before or after you had your divorce lawyer boyfriend set me up?" Her eyes went wide. I threw my napkin onto the table. "Save it." I stood up, grabbing my coat. "By the way," I said, "I already filed for divorce. You'll be served on Monday." "Oh, and good luck paying for your new life, because you're getting nothing from me." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. For once, she was the one caught off guard. I didn't wait for a response. I turned and walked out of the restaurant, leaving her sitting there in the wreckage of her own lies. It was over, but I still had one final move left to make. I woke up early Monday morning, knowing exactly what was coming. By noon, Lillian would receive the divorce papers. The shock of the restaurant confrontation would have worn off, and she'd start planning her counterattack. But I had already stripped her of every advantage. Her separate bank account? Useless. My lawyer had flagged it, ensuring she couldn't claim more than what was legally hers. The house? Mine. The prenup she had once brushed off as a silly formality was about to become her worst nightmare. She had bet everything on a clean exit with Thomas. She thought she'd leave with a new home, a fat bank account, and an easy transition into her new life. Instead, she was about to lose everything. At exactly 12:37 p.m., my phone rang. "Lillian." I let it ring until it went to voicemail. A minute later, she called again. Then again. Then came the texts. "Lillian, we need to talk." "Lillian, please answer." "Lillian, this isn't fair. At least let me explain." I smirked. Fair? She had spent months sneaking around behind my back, setting me up for the perfect betrayal. And now that her plan had fallen apart, she wanted fairness? I ignored her and went about my day. An hour later, she showed up at the house. I saw her pacing outside through the security cameras, her phone clutched in her hand. Finally, she knocked. I took my time answering. When I finally opened the door, she looked wrecked. Puffy eyes, messy hair. Nothing like the confident, calculating woman I had seen with Thomas. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice small. I crossed my arms. "Talk about what, Lillian? How you planned to screw me over? How you were house shopping with him?" She flinched. I made a mistake." I laughed. A mistake. That's what she was calling it. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "I still love you," she whispered. "I don't want this to end like this." I stared at her, feeling absolutely nothing. Maybe if she had said this months ago, it would have meant something. Maybe if she had felt even an ounce of guilt, I would have considered listening. But now, it was too late. "You made your choice, Lillian," I said coldly. "You don't get to walk it back just because it didn't go the way you wanted." Tears streamed down her face. "I never meant to hurt you." I shook my head. "You just never meant to get caught." Her shoulders sagged. She knew I was right. For a moment, she just stood there, like she was waiting for me to change my mind, waiting for me to save her from the mess she had made. I didn't. Instead, I stepped back inside and closed the door in her face. I watched through the camera as she stood there for a long time, staring at the closed door, before finally walking away. As she disappeared down the street, I let out a slow breath. It was over. I wasn't broken. I wasn't ruined. I was free.